We have a woman who's written in here. She says, "Guy wanting to date younger women to buy time?" Question mark. So she's 26. She recently went on 2 dates with a guy who she met on Hinge, who's 33. So he's a bit older than her. Certainly could be much more mature, given that as what 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 years older than her. So yeah, women do usually date older men, and men like to date younger women. So that's all in line so far. She says, "I put my profile that I want a long-term relationship and kids." He put on his that he's looking for a long-term, open to short, and left off his preference on kids. Other than that, he doesn't have them. Apologies. Yeah, people put a lot of emphasis on what people put on their dating profile, especially when it comes to, is this person looking for long-term or open to short? At the end of the day, I think the guy's going to probably click every single option to make sure he catches as many women as possible. Now, from a guy's point of view, if I was looking at a girl's profile and it only said only open to short, then that'd be alarm bells ringing in regards to her probably not being relationship material. But there's nothing wrong with that. At least she's being open and honest, and maybe you can just date her more casually. On the second date, the topic of kids came up. I told him that I want kids, but I think I'd still be happy without them if it didn't work out. Things you're saying that as a 26-year-old woman, so when you maybe get to your mid-30s, you might be stressing and really wanting kids. So certainly be open to that, but for me personally, I always knew I wanted kids, even before I got the first pube on my ball sack. Like, I knew I wanted to be a dad. That was what I wanted. Now I haven't had kids yet, and we can maybe get into that conversation of why that is the case in another video, but I always knew I wanted it, and I feel like a lot of women know yes or no on this topic, but online it does seem like more women are more pushing towards focusing on their career, focusing on going on holiday and being able to afford some nice things to buy themselves, like handbags, over being able to reproduce. But then they quickly do a U-turn in their early to mid-30s, where for some, unfortunately, it is too late, and that is, yeah, that's a tragedy. He said he saw I wanted kids on my profile, and it wasn't a deal breaker for him either, and he still went out with me. Yeah, look, a guy's still going to go out on dates with you, even if certain things don't quite match up with what they want, because at the end of the day, some of these guys are on the apps just to get laid. He said he leaves a preference off his profile so he can explain his view on it when it comes up. He did say he doesn't think he'd want more than one kid though, which is fine for me as I only want 1 to 2. Okay, so this seems like a very mature conversation. I think it's actually quite good to having it by the second date, because if they are looking for something long term with each other, then you've got to have these conversations early on, because for some this would be a deal breaker off the bat. It's kind of crazy how sometimes these conversations don't get brought up many months down the line, or even after a ring's been put on the finger. So yeah, at least they're getting out of the way now. The thing that he said that I'm not sure how I feel about is that he doesn't love dating women his age in his 30s who want kids, because if they do want to move, or they do want to move at a much faster pace if that is the case, because if they want kids, it has to happen soon. So I don't know why she's struggling with that comment from him. I think it seems very reasonable and it makes complete sense. You know, at the end of the day, if you're going to be dating women in their 30s who want kids, they are on a biological clock, and you just can't, there's no medicine to kind of stop that. I know you can freeze your eggs, but you can't beat the natural way. That's probably the best way to be able to have children, especially when you are younger as well. And it costs a lot of money, doesn't it, these IVF treatments? But yeah, I don't know why she's surprised by that. It makes sense, and it's, you know, been biologically proven that men do prefer to date younger women. You know, it's just biologically in them. If they're dating someone who's younger and prettier, it's more likely they'll be able to bear kids, and they're going to have the best genes. I think there was that Hinge survey where it found no matter what age a man is, their preference is 22-year-old women. And it's kind of crazy, and that's just across the board. You can't argue with the facts, even if it does upset your feelings. So he's honest to her about it on the second day, and now she's kind of taking it the wrong way. From this guy's point of view, if she does lose her shit and is upset by this, this is a really good indicator that she's going to be a pain in the long term, and maybe she won't be right for you. She says, I'm not in a rush to have kids, although ideally I'd want to have one before the age of 35. Oh, absolutely, because it's going to be a healthier baby and you've got more chance to have kids. And you shouldn't be leaving it so late. If you know you want kids, then and you find the right guy, then you should be in the process of trying to pop some out. So I feel like I have plenty of time for that. Well, look, time moves so quickly. Like, I'm nearly 30 now, and just time just has zoomed by. And you think you have a lot of time, but you don't know what's around the corner. And you don't know how strong your body and your eggs are in reproducing. So you can't just say, oh yeah, I do want kids, but I'm going to wait till 35 because I saw someone online get pregnant. Although I'm wondering what people's thoughts are on this, part of me wonders if I'll get to my early 30s with someone with this view and he won't be ready or doesn't really want them. Well, yeah, that is the terrifying thing from a woman's point of view. Like, you're putting time into a man and he could just turn around and say, do you know what, I don't want this anymore. I found someone more attractive that I want to sow my oats with, or yeah, you just the vibe's just off between you two, and that is tragic, especially if you've put many years into that relationship and you think about the wedding, you think about kids, and now you've turned 33, and now you've got to go through this whole process again. And then yeah, you will be rushing. Like, this woman will be in a rush if she's 34 and just got dumped by her boyfriend. The next guy who comes into her life, she's going to be thinking, this guy has to be the father to my children. And that guy's going to want to wait 2-3 years because he can wait. Unfortunately for women, men can wait as long as they desire, which is why sometimes you see these marriages, the men are rushed into it because they feel the pressure from the woman, and the same with bearing children. So no, I don't think she's responded in a terrible way. I think she kind of handled it quite well, but I wouldn't really go to the internet for advice. You should be having these conversations with the guy you're dating. But yeah, I think from his point of view, it makes complete sense, right? A guy's got time to wait, and he's going to want to date someone who's younger, who hasn't got that pressure of trying to push him to have kids, because I'm sure he's experiencing that at the age of 33. He's dating women around his age, and they're saying, hey, come on, let's make this serious, let's make this official quicker than he's ready, because he hasn't even found much about the woman yet. We all have a facade on when it comes to dating, and we're not showing our true self until at least a couple of months in. Some people like to leave it a bit longer before showing their true colours. Anyway, that's all, guys. Cheers. See ya.
to grow.